Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Faizah Mooney and this will be part 1 of the X-Files. Bismillah. So get relaxed. This is going to be a long one. These videos are going to be long. I'm letting you know right now. In March of 2013, all right, I was 28 years old and I decided to break the Muzrab, as I've nicknamed Muslim Arabs, anybody who's Muslim Arab, Muzrab. Okay, so the Muzrab community culture does not allow dating, okay? For the women. The men do it all the time and nobody says anything. But the women find themselves in a lot of hell for doing something like that. I knew that if I was caught dating this guy, my reputation would be destroyed. I knew that. I was very aware of it. But again, to understand why I felt that Pan was the guy worthy enough of breaking those rules and taking that risk, I have to take you back to 2007 and 2008 when I started my expired blog. Okay, it was a Google blog at this time and it was under pseudonym. I don't even think I added a name in all transparency. I think I just left it open. Well, it's a mystery. It could be Batman. You never know who it can be, you know? So I just used that platform to start writing, to put my thoughts out. I was actually in a very short-lived engagement. I know, shocking. And the guy ended up cheating. Whole engagement was very short-lived, but I was really heartbroken. And even though looking back, I was heartbroken, it was a blessing. I did not want to get married. It's just that it had come at the right time when I wanted to get my dad's validation, when I was just about to expire, because Arabs have this perspective that any woman who reaches the age of 25 and isn't married is considered expired. So hence my name, Expired and Fabulous. Then I would start hearing the same things I would normally hear, which is, oh, there's something wrong with you. You have dirty blood. And they would often say this to me since I was a kid because I'm a half and half, right? So my mom is European. My dad, Allah yarhamu, was Palestinian. And it's very hard, especially as a first generation Palestinian born and raised in this country, to be so outcasted by your own people because you're not Arab enough. They would say things like my mom wasn't even Muslim because she had reverted in, and that's not anybody who comes into the faith was never really Muslim. We were never prepared to be the half and half. Being a half breed in the Muzrab community is a whole other story. That is a whole other series. That is a whole other series in itself. And it's not talked about enough. I understand it more than I can even tell you. I know how hard it is, and I know the deep racism that is rooted within the Muzrab community that nobody wants to talk about, and everybody says is not happening. Again, being told the same things over and over. Dirty blood. You're a broken woman. There's something wrong with you. Your brain's not working properly because I'm a half-breed, and any woman with a drop of Arab blood must want to get married, right? And there was me. I didn't want to get married. I wasn't really sad about expiring. I was like, okay, and, well, what's next? Is there anything else we can aspire to besides being somebody's wife? It just never clicked with me. So starting this blog wasn't just about venting about heartbreak. It was about wanting to find a tribe. Were there other broken women? Were there other women who wanted to, I don't know, go out and date? Has anybody thought about those questions? Did anybody think about it even? Was it really just me because there was something wrong with me? Or were there something wrong with a lot of us? So I wrote about really breaking the myth that you're not somebody until someone wants to marry you. The questions about wanting to do things differently, not always wanting to go through family, and wanting to, dare I say, date, right? I know that's a massive taboo. It still is until today in the Muzrab community. Muslim women are not allowed to date. Guys can, women can't. God said the men can't, but the community said the men can. You gotta love them. My blog dared to ask the questions nobody else was asking, okay? And for a few years, oh my gosh, it was crickets. Nobody was reading. Nobody was there. I was writing just pretty much a public diary until 2010, all right? Then it picked up. And it picked up so quickly, you might actually believe that it was already like something that was very popular. It was not. It was sitting there. And when people would even scroll through entries, they were like, oh my God, there's so much here. Yeah, there was so much there. I had been writing for years. I realized, I could still remember the feeling that I'm like, oh my God, I'm not alone. There were so many women that were living vicariously through my ability to be fearless enough to ask the questions that nobody else wanted to ask in the Muzz community. It was amazing. I still remember the feeling. It was amazing because it was the first time in my life I had ever felt validated. Like, I was not alone. I was not alone. If I was a broken woman, there were plenty of others with me. That gave me so much more courage to keep writing. Write, ask the questions, be a voice, as they would often say, be a voice to the voiceless. It came at a cost. All right. As I started speaking, yes, there was love, and yes, there was a lot of validation, and yes, I was building a community for the first time, but it also came with a lot of hate. I mean, oh boy, a lot of hate. All right. There is a tribalism tactic that the Muzz community has here in the States, abroad, everywhere. It's just naturally, I don't know if it's ingrained, but there is a tribalistic tactic that is enforced, and everybody sort of falls into line with it. And in the beginning, it really didn't bother me because I was like, well, I'm anonymous on here. Like, I'm John Cena. Now you see me, now you don't. I would be lying if I didn't say that it was it was a lot. It was a lot. And for being the first time to face something that heavy and to experience what it was like to be on the receiving end of something I had seen happen to countless other people in the community before was such an adjustment. It was such an adjustment. And to have to go through that privately because nobody really knew about the blog. I would be lying to you if I said that it didn't bother me to hear people in every single day throw messages like God's going to punish you. You're encouraging girls to be promiscuous. You're encouraging girls to say no to their parents. Well, God forbid. You're encouraging girls to go off and choose their own husbands. God forbid. So all of this, hearing that, like I was leading women astray and destroying families and breaking families apart, that was very hard in the beginning. Very, very hard to hear that because that wasn't my intention at all. The hate went on for days. And then it got really bad one night, and the next morning I woke up and the blog was gone, which was, oh my God. It was like being the Little Mermaid and having your voice taken. And I didn't just feel like, and I know this is going to sound kind of corny, but I didn't feel like I was just having my voice taken. I felt like I was everybody's voice that was attached to mine and holding on and clinging on to be heard. Theirs was taken too. Done. Just in an instant like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they could do that? They could just take my blog away like that? It was the first time I had ever seen for myself how much power the Muslim community has. And I was contacting, reporting it. I don't even remember what the process was at that point. So, but I remember I was reporting to try to get my site back. Just the next day, my dad gets, his legs start swelling up. He starts like forming very, severe edema on his legs. And we had to take him to the ER. When my dad had said, and my dad, anytime, my dad could be going to any appointment. He could be going to get his ears checked. And he would have been telling us, make sure, you do these 3 things for me. Marry a Palestinian, even he's a garbage man. You marry him because he's Palestinian, okay? Number 2, you marry someone from our town. Number 3, you go to Hajj for me. Okay? He wanted us to go to Hajj. Now, this would haunt me for a long time. My dad ends up being admitted to the hospital because it was bad. And I will never forget going into the hallway of the hospital when my dad was gone to the room. He fell asleep. And I went into the hallway and I prayed to Allah, to God. I said, if the people were right, and my website is the reason that you're punishing me right now, because I felt like I was being punished. And my dad was in the hospital because of what I had been writing about. I said, if that's the reason, then just let the site go. I'll let the site go. I won't write anymore. Ya Rabbi, just get Ba out of the hospital. Okay? And subhanallah, as you will hear throughout the story, subhanallah, I get chills. Subhanallah. I go back, sit on the chair next to my dad, and get a notification on my phone. My website had been turned back on. I sat there and I was like, don't worry, Allah, I'll keep my promise. I will let the site go. Just get Ba out of the hospital. Unfortunately, a few days later, Ugh. A few days later, my dad passed away. Allah yarhamu. Nothing prepares you to see your father pass in front of you. And there's nothing you can do, nothing you can say, no prayer that can be read, nothing. It's just you start the day with having a father and you end it without. You're never the same. It changes you forever. And I had so much guilt. I can't even tell you. To say that I fell into a depression is an understatement. Is an understatement. And a part of it really came also from the anger I felt. I felt so much anger. And anger because the realization yet again of what it means to be a woman. And that was when we're standing, my dad's being buried and all the men are in the circle watching my dad be buried and all the women are on the sidelines like it's an NFL game and we're waiting on the sidelines till they bury my dad so we can go look at the grave after because Muslim women aren't allowed to be there at the burial of a man. And I was so angry. I was like, you took that away from us because we're women? You know, I will never know how my dad's casket looked in the grave. I will never know what was it crooked? Was it straight? How did the dirt look when they put it on him at first? When the light fully went out, how did it look? It might not sound important to a lot of people, but it meant something to me. And I was so angry that I felt like you took that from me because of my gender. Angrier I got, the more I wanted to write. So I started writing again. I was figuring, I'm like, well, he died. So, guess I don't have to hold on to that promise. So I just went right back and I started writing again. And I I feel like it actually helped me write even more. I was writing more, I was more passionate, I was angrier. So and anger will give you a strength that very few other emotions really do. So I started writing again, just writing and questioning even more and more. And the angrier they got, the happier I was. Because I loved writing, I started looking for writing jobs. And I got a job as a writer on the film American High, starring Aubrey O'Day. It was on Stars. And I got invited to that Hollywood party. And it was like, yeah, that's a whole nother part of my journey in itself. That's a whole nother part of my journey in itself. That's a series alone. But I wrote about it. I would share it with people. Oh my God, this is what it was like. And this is how it looks when they're preparing drinks. And because I had never seen any of that stuff before. At this point, some people had found out I was behind the blog. So I just went and put it public and I was like, yep, it's me. Hi. Hello. How are you? Of course, the backlash came and they got even angrier and angrier. And the more that they did, they would ban my blog, and my blog would be here 1 minute, then gone tomorrow, then back, and then gone, and then entries would be deleted, all this stuff. I mean, they were so manipulative. They used all their power in the wrong way. So then in 2012, I thought, what way can I really piss them off? My mom, my sister, and I were driving down the University of Illinois campus and there was an advertisement for bus ads like, oh, get your bus ad here, it's inexpensive. And I was like, ooh, I know how I could really piss off these people. They don't want my voice to be out there. Well, they can't take down a bus ad. So I called up the number, got in touch with them and had discussed wanting to put up a bus ad. Of course, they told me I needed to provide the image. So I got in touch with an illustrator. Her name was Kat. Hi, Kat, if you're watching this. I hope you're well. You made an amazing illustration. And I told her my whole vision. She brought it to life impeccably. Submitted it to the advertisers. It was approved. The University of Illinois approved it, and the bus ads were put up. I still remember the drive we did that night to go look at them. We were so excited. It was unreal. Do you remember in Sex and the City when Carrie Bradshaw goes to see her bus, her image on the bus? That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. I was seeing it for the first time, and it was so exciting. And the idea was, here's a Muslim woman saying, marriage is my choice. It's not anybody else's decision. It's mine. I'm going to choose who Mr. Right is for me. The Muzz students at the University of Illinois at that time and certain other organizations had seen the ad and started protesting about it. And they were calling all the different Muslim organizations here in Illinois and all across, oh my goodness, she's making us look like sharmutas, all this stuff, right? That I was making them look like immoral whores, as if there's not immoral whores who wear hijab. That's not what the image was. But the fact that they tried to act like that doesn't exist. It's funny. Stupid. So the advertisers bombarded with calls. And she emails me to say that they had got complaints about the ad and the ad was going to be removed. It hadn't even been there for 24 hours before the Muzz community got it removed. So do not let the Muzz community ever convince you that they don't have power and authority. They absolutely do. They got that fucking ad removed in 24 hours. I was so angry. I felt like yet again, Ariel's voice is taken by the evil witches and the jinn in the community. And now all I want to do is just share my story and share other women's stories. But they felt like Muzz women were being led astray. And so I had to be stopped at all costs. Just as it was getting really heated, a friend of mine had reached out and said that one of the most popular guys in the community, who we're going to call Achilles, seems very appropriate. And Achilles wanted to meet me, go on a chaperone date, and get to know me for purposes of marriage. It was very like Islamically appropriate. But the thought that if we went on this date, it had to be intentional, that we had to, discuss marriage, was a lot for me. Because again, I was not somebody who was interested in marriage. But the fact that one of the most popular guys in the community was interested in taking me on a chaperone date, somebody that was being named the Dajjal of the community, the Antichrist of the community, I'm like, oh my gosh. Yes. My mom goes on the date with us and she's like, oh my gosh, seems like you guys got along. Like, it went really well. Now, everything was going well. We started talking. We had mostly phone call conversations because he was traveling a lot. He had found out that I was the one behind the whole bus ad. I don't even know how he didn't find that out much sooner, but it doesn't really matter. Point is that he had, I guess, put two and two together and found out that I was the one behind the controversial bus ads and the controversial website. And he said, I can't have this kind of drama around me, my family reputation, et cetera, et cetera. And he gave me a suggestion. He's like, you know what? You're really good at baking, because I would always bring him like baked goods. Don't ever do this, ladies. No man is worthy of you sitting around baking for him until he's your husband. So any date we went on, I brought him dessert, okay? And so he said, well, you're a really good baker. So why don't you just become the first Muslim woman who bakes? And maybe at some point you'll want to wear hijab and, get off this whole writing thing and focus more on that. And in that point, we could be together. I'm so embarrassed to say that I contemplated it for a little bit, okay? So much so that I agreed to meet him again to go on what would be our last date. And I brought him like these decorated cupcakes that I had made, and they were amazing. We went to this coffee house. My mom was sitting across the restaurant. We're sitting in our own little table in the corner, and he's eating the cupcakes. And I will never forget, he's eating and his mouth is like full of the cupcake as he's eating, right? And he's just like, you know what? That's why I'm saying, you should go ahead and just get into baking, because you're Muslim, you don't want to get a bad reputation. Like, you're just going on. And as I'm seeing him talk and watching the food just circulate around his mouth, and I was like, yeah, no. Yeah, no, I don't think I could do that. I don't want to be a baker. I that's sounds nice, but I don't have dreams of being a baker. I mean, I love writing. And he's like, well, when we can't be together because reputation with my family. Was so worried about protecting his family reputation, but sadly it was destroyed when pictures of him leaked dressed as a woman. So, you know, and then to protect his reputation, he ended up getting married really quickly. I guess the reputation he was so, intent on protecting, just as I would realize later on, we're not in control of our reputations. It could be destroyed like that. And this is when Pan flew in from Neverland. I met Pan in 21st century fashion on Facebook. All right. I had sent him a message because I was going to be doing a talk at National Louis University, and I wanted to have a male perspective. He didn't write back at first, so it had gone a while. But it seemed, as it did with Achilles, the whole bus ad had put me on people's radar. So then he emailed me back, and he was kind of talking about how he didn't agree with the community and how crazy it was that everything that was happening. And he thought it was insane. He's like, oh my God, these people are out of their minds. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing. Keep going. The women need representation, which they really, really, really did at that time. They still do till today. I was like, oh my God. He was the complete opposite of Achilles. He was open-minded. He was compassionate. He seemed supportive. He seemed like somebody who was the complete opposite of the community. He even said to me, he was like, that's why I don't even like being involved in the community. I have no connection to the community. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here's this guy who's so well respected in the community. Even he distances himself from the community, right? Because it's that shitty. He said everything I needed to hear at that time. Gosh, he's Palestinian, he's Muslim, he's artistic, he's smart, he's a businessman. And also the fact that he could be anywhere. Didn't matter. He could be in a business meeting. He would drive Ubers to fund his dreams and build his business. I mean, he was very smart in that. He would have me connected to his ear set. I was always there. He always made time for me. And I'd never experienced that. I had never experienced being a priority to someone. And that felt like, oh my gosh, wow, look at him. No matter where he's at, no matter what's happening, I'm his priority. His pixie dust was all of that validation. We started talking, I would say, beginning of February. So we talked throughout the whole month before we agreed to meet in March of 2013. This was probably one of the first times I lied to my mom. I did not tell my mom I was going on this date with this guy, nothing. I kept it very private. I started breaking the rules there. So he picks me up and, as any Muzz would when they're dealing with secret relationships, he picks me up a block away, right? And I walk down, and he had this luxury vehicle, and I'm like, oh my God. I was like, oh my gosh. Talking about a girl raised in the south side of Chicago. I'd never seen anything like that. He comes out in a suit, and he walks around, opens the car door for me, and I get in. What's there? Chocolate, flowers, so many different roses. It was beautiful. And I go inside, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was taken aback. I'd never seen anything like that. Never experienced anything like that. And he closes the door, and I still remember I turned around and just watched him as he walked all the way around. Such a hopeless romantic. I'm like, oh my gosh, just wanted to remember every detail. And he gets in, and he leans over like this, and he looks at me, and he says, you're beautiful. And again, I'm like, oh my gosh, wow. Oh, I was so easily swept off my feet then. I was not who I am today. I wish I could go back to that girl and be like, oh gosh, honey, just wake up. Stupid, what's wrong with you? But at that time, oh boy, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is so amazing. Then he asked, where do you want to go? And I'm like, anywhere private. Okay, of course, because it was we had to handle the relationship like a Navy SEAL mission. That was my perspective. And Pan goes, who cares? If they see us, they'll have to answer to me. Okay? And again, swoon. I was swept off my feet because he was my knight in shining armor. Oh my gosh, you'll fight the Muzz community for me if they start coming at me and trying to target my reputation and everything. We drive over to one of the most popular sushi spots, and we get in, and it's packed. I mean, there's people everywhere. And Pan goes to the hostess, and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm on a first date, and are you really going to make me look bad? I had made reservations, and it just didn't go through. I later learned that he hadn't made the reservations. He was just using that to try to make him feel bad. And it worked. I mean, it worked. They were laughing. They're like, oh, no, we're not going to make you look bad. Absolutely not. Let's get you a table. We can work something out. And lo and behold, they walk us over to the middle of the restaurant. And I was so excited too because the table that they gave us, I was sitting with my back to the wall, and I love that. See everybody outside, can see the whole restaurant. It was perfect. And Pan's like, thank you so much. I got you after this. And just as we're like settling in, a waitress comes over, hands us the menus, and gives us glasses of water. And she had like a really like double D, if not triple D breast, right? And what is Pan doing? Staring. This is our first date. Okay. Keep that in mind. Not even hiding it. And he looks over at me and he smiles. And I just remember thinking, like, what are you smiling about? And he goes, you know what? You should consider getting breast implants. I'm taken aback now, even because I look at that and I'm like, honey, get up. Of course, I know I didn't know any better at that time, but it doesn't mean I don't look back and say, bitch, what the fuck? I would love to tell you that I got up and left, that I picked up the water, threw it in his face, and I left. Oh, but I didn't. I just looked at him like, what? And then he says, no, 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 I've been reading your blog, and you know how you always talk about your chest being small and people think you look like a boy and this and that. And I just think it's better, like, if you just, that would stop it if you get breast implants. If you get breast implants, then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Now, if anybody, some of you may have been here since then. And if you have, hi, please say hi. If you were here since I would be writing about my bust size, I would always talk about it in a joking context. It was just more like making jokes about how other people perceive it in a community where there were a lot more girls who were more busty than I was, right? And then he says to me, you're not going to ruin this for us right now, are you? And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah. I don't want to ruin the dinner. And he goes on to apologize and said he didn't mean it that way. He just thought he was giving me a piece of advice. And again, I didn't want to sit there and feel like I was the one destroying the dinner. I was the one that was problematic. I was making a big deal out of nothing. So I let it go. And I cannot say enough to any woman watching this. If you're ever on a first date with a guy and he makes a comment about your body, about the way that you are, the way you look, anything, okay? Or he is staring at any other woman or compliments another woman, please get the fuck up and leave. You do not stay there. He's already showing you signs of his character. Get up and leave. Do not stay. If you stay, you show him you don't love yourself. And if you're okay with looking that way, okay. But if not, get up and leave. Never see him again. Don't text him again. Don't call him again. Block him. Done. The rest of the dinner, though, it's a little embarrassing to say this, but the rest of the dinner actually went great, right? We had a great time. Conversation was good. He made a lot of jokes. We were laughing so much. I mean, at this time, nobody had ever made me laugh as much as Pan. But once dinner was over, we get up, we go. He, as promised, goes over to the hostess and tips him $50 each. We leave, and he's like, I'm not ready to let you go yet. Let's go for a walk. So we went for a walk around, and we're just talking, and we're talking to each other about our dreams, telling him about my goals for my blog, and that it one day hopefully turn into a book. And he was so supportive. And again, he was like, oh, the community's crazy, and don't listen to them. Don't let them get you off of your path and what you're doing, all that. Once we get around the block and get back to the car, he's like, I'm still not ready to let you go. Let's go for a drive. So we go for this long drive all around Chicago. So we're driving around, music's on, everything just seemed perfect, you guys. I mean, it seemed perfect for a Muslim girl who for 28 years had followed the rules, had never done anything like that. It felt so free. I felt like Pan was signing the permission slip for me to live my life. When the date finally came to an end, drops me off to the corner of my house. He locks the doors, right? And this is very important to remember this part as well, okay? Because this is going to come into play in many other parts to follow. He puts the car in child lock and says to me, am I going to see you again? And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, of course, obviously. And he's like, oh, the comment about your chest, that's not going to ruin anything. Are you sure you're not going to stop talking to me? You're not going to stop texting me? You're not going to stop this and that? He was really, really worried that I wasn't going to see him again. I would be fucking lying to you if I didn't tell you that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the voice that I now listen to, was telling me, do not ever see this person again. Say yes, but do not ever see this person again. Once he felt confident enough, he turns the child lock off. I get out of the car, go to the house. A few minutes as I stepped into the house, I get a text message from Pan. And he says, I just got us tickets to something at Navy Pier, and I'm going to be by to pick you up at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Be ready. And again, that voice told me, do not reply. Do not see him again. Block him. But at 4 p.m. the next day, I was dressed in my best, ready to go on date 2 with Pan.